and destruction on the earth. So there are 7 seals, 7 trumpets, and 7 plagues. We are starting the 7-year period, and we are starting the 7 trumpets. And the first trumpet is, I will read it to you. It's in Revelation 8. Revelation 8. We'll start with verse 1. I don't think I've ever done it. So, and when he had opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. Why? Because this is the tribulation beginning. The tribulation is beginning, and it is silent in heaven. It's a big deal. And so the 7 years are beginning, and we saw, and it says in verse 2, and I saw the 7 angels which stood before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets. Trumpets are warning symbols in Israel. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer. And there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with prayers of all the saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. And the smoke of the incense which came up with the prayers of the saints ascended up before God out of the angel's hands. And the angel took the censer and filled it with fire of the altar and cast it into the earth. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. And the 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. And the first angel's about to sound. But look at the scene in heaven. We have 7 angels before God. There is the altar of incense, which is offered up with the prayers of the saints. It's a wonderful incense. And it comes before the Lord, and the prayers are coming before the Lord. And these prayers are, help me, Lord, or judge. There's so much going on. And so people are praying and saying, come, Lord, come back. And so this is what those prayers are. And notice that that there is the altar of incense, and there are 7 angels, and there's smoke, and it's all before the Lord. And this is going to be something that comes from the Lord. I believe we saw lightning and thunder. That's the Lord. That's God. And so now at this time, the first trumpet has not sounded, but there is the first event of the tribulation that is recorded is in Daniel 9. And it is a treaty, a treaty that supposedly brings world peace. But what is it going to bring, this treaty? This treaty is going to bring, in my opinion, for sure, some kind of peace between Israel and its enemies, whether it right now, pretend peace. And that could come any day. That could come very soon. Our new president speaks of peace, so we'll see what happens. But we are on the verge of these 7 years, so let's keep going. So the first event is the peace treaty. And again, it could include today, South Korea declared martial law because of something in North Korea. I don't really know what happened, and I'm not a politician, but that's what they said. South Korea has declared martial law. China is trying to invade Taiwan. Russia has invaded Ukraine and is trying to take it over. Israel is at war with its enemies. Gaza has taken hostages. The United States is flexing its muscles. The world is on the verge of some difficult times, and it may well be that the peace treaty that is described in Daniel 9 is actually a very large treaty that will include Israel, and it will include the Palestinian issue, and I believe it will include the Temple Mount. That there will be, I used to listen to one on the radio who I asked him once, because he was very much in the know. And I said, if the Jews had the ability to build a temple, if they got the go-ahead, how long would it take them to put that temple up? And he said, less than a year. They are so ready to go with that temple. So he was in the know, and so I believe him. And so what does this mean? We could be on the very verge of this event. And so let's keep going, because we're going to bring in that temple in just a minute. We're going to start with the first trumpet. The angel is trotting out with the trumpet, and let's see what happens. The first angel, verse 7, the first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees were burnt up, and all the green grass was burnt up. That's all it says about the first trumpet. That's it, verse 7. So let's just look at this. We have hail, we have fire, and we have blood involved in this trumpet. This, I'm not saying is not literal. It could be very literal. There could be a judgment of hail, fire, and blood, and I think it is literal. But there are also symbols that surround it. For example, hail. What does hail symbolize? In Isaiah 28:17, God said, I will make justice the measuring line and righteousness the plummet. So these are construction terms. The hail will sweep away the refuge of lies. Hail clears up lies and brings truth. That's in Isaiah 28. So hail symbolizes truth. Let's see what else we see. In Exodus 9, when Moses was speaking to Pharaoh, God said, tell this to Pharaoh. I raised you up, Pharaoh. I raised you up to show in you my power and that my name might be declared on through all the earth. That's why I raised you up, Pharaoh, so that my power and my name could be declared on the earth. But you, Pharaoh, have exalted yourself, and therefore the Lord sent hail, and it was mingled with fire. Okay, again, hail. Because why? Because he sent a fact. He said, my name should be revered, and he said, my power is absolute. But Pharaoh, you've lied about it, and you're pretending like it's your power and it's your name. And so you have lied. So I'm going to send hail with fire. Fire represents the Lord himself. I'm going to send hail, truth to the world. And so he judged Egypt with those plagues. So now, so hail means we're going to clear up lies. We're going to give truth. It's about truth. So I'm going to submit to you that the first trumpet is the two witnesses. It's the event of the two witnesses appearing. Now, remember, the peace treaty is the first event, and it's not really here, but it's in Daniel 9. The peace treaty is the first event. Then the trumpets come out, and the first trumpet, I believe, is the two witnesses. I believe that all of these trumpets, all of them, have a little background story in the book of Revelation, a little vignette that describes the trumpet, and it goes in depth. And so I believe that the first trumpet is the two witnesses, because they are going to come and they are going to bring a truth, because the world is full of lies. The world is been lied to. As we saw the seals come out, the white horse is righteousness, God's righteousness. He offers it to the world. But man says, oh no, I'm righteous. I'm going to be the one who's going to be king over everybody. And I'm not interested in your righteousness, God. I have my own. That's a lie. No one has their own righteousness. We cannot achieve righteousness. We have to receive it as a gift from Christ. We have to believe in Christ to receive righteousness. And that's the only way that we can even have peace with God. So there are lies that have to be cleared up, and there are all kinds of lies that have been shown in the seal judgments. And so now let's see what Revelation 11 talks about, the little vignette behind the first trumpet. And there was given to me, John is speaking, there was given to me a reed like a rod, and the angel stood saying, rise and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is outside the temple, or that inner courtyard, measure it not, for it is given to the Gentiles, and the holy city they will tread underfoot 42 months. I'll stop there for a minute, because John is being told, measure. And that, when there's that measurement going on, that means the temple is going to be built. That is one of the things that measurement means. Measure, because we're about to build a temple. Why? Because the peace treaty has given the go-ahead, and the Jews are going to do it. Now, as I said, it won't take them long, but it will, maybe take them a year. I don't know for sure. But anyway, there will be the temple going up, and then they're measuring the temple and the people within. Now this measurement, remember what I said in Isaiah. He said the measuring line will be righteousness, and the righteousness will be the plummet, and the measuring line will be justice. So God is talking about measuring the temple with justice and with righteousness, and the people inside. But the people outside, no, not going to happen. They are people who don't believe. They're not part of the believing crowd, and that Temple Mount area that is right now occupied by the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque, so the two Muslims. Right now, Jews can't go up there and pray. Any Christians and Jews can go up there, but they're not allowed to pray, and they're not allowed to even look like they're praying. And so the mosque is up there and the Dome of the Rock, and the temple will be built up there. There will be a temple of the Jews built up there. And so, but it's going to be some kind of an agreement where they're all up there together. And it's going to be sort of like a universal place of prayer for everybody. And it's not God. This is not God. This is like the global world saying we're all good and everything is fine. There's no truth. If you believe that, is fine. If you believe that, it's fine. But there is truth. And the Lord is going to send a hail of truth. And who's he going to send it by? The two witnesses. So let's keep reading. I will give power to my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. And if any man will hurt them, fire will proceed out of their mouth and devour their enemies. And if any man hurts them, he must in this manner be killed. So fire coming out. These have power to shut heaven that it does not rain in the days of their prophecy, and they have power over the waters to turn them to blood and to smite the earth with plagues as often as they want. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascends out of the bottomless pit will make war against them and will overcome them and kill them. And their dead bodies will lie in the street of the great city, Jerusalem, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified, so Jerusalem. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not allow their dead bodies to be put in graves. And they that dwell on the earth will rejoice. Why will they rejoice? Because they're happy, because these guys were causing fire and blood in the water, and they were a judgment of God, and they were bringing truth, and people don't want truth. And the earth, they will rejoice and they will make merry. It sounds like Christmas. And they will send gifts one to another, because the two prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood on their feet, and great fear fell on them which saw them. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up here. So the two witnesses rise up. They were dead. Now they rise up, and they hear a voice from heaven saying, come up here. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. Okay, we're going to stop there. But so the two witnesses come to prophesy, to bring the witness of truth. The world is in this grip of this peace treaty and this idea that it's the idea of Babel, that we can all be one and we don't need God. And this peace treaty is going to be a very popular thing, but these witnesses are going to preach and say, you do need God. You do need to receive salvation. And people will try to kill them. Obviously, Antichrist does kill them at the end, but people try to kill them. And when they do, they shoot out fire. So they're indestructible. And so these two witnesses prophesy for 3.5 years, but it's not the same 3.5 years that Antichrist prophesies. They overlap, but they're not the same 3.5 years. So they start with trumpet 1, and they bring witness to the world. The first trumpet. So we're going to see the peace treaty. Might see them in our lifetime. So we will look out for that. But remember, there's a peace treaty coming, and there is a temple coming, and there are witnesses coming, and that's the first judgment, but it's a warning judgment. In other words, the whole world isn't going to die. Oh no, just some people will, but the rest of the world, God is saying, heads up. Didn't I tell you about this? Didn't you read this in the book of Revelation? Didn't somebody teach you? This thing will happen. Heads up. I'm giving you heads up so you can still come to Christ. So that is the prophecy of the two witnesses, the first trumpet. The next trumpet will help you understand what's coming in our future. Okay, so I hope that you guys got that. And remember, the first trumpet, the two witnesses. Okay, I'll see you guys soon. and we'll continue with our live study. Thanks.